Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Hope you guys are doing good today. The weather here is, so I live in Canada and so I live in Ontario, I live in Ottawa, and it's been like plus 20 pretty much almost every single day. It's we've never had weather like this consistently. Good for my motorcycle. But I remember someone saying, a Christian, someone who, I don't know, they're no longer here, but they said this in like the 1920s or something, that when all these things would take place, which are taking place now, all the signs in the world, that the weather would not understand itself. Like, the birds would be doing strange things and all that because they don't understand what's going on. Like, why is it warm? It's like almost Halloween. It should be like anywhere between -5 and -10, maybe a couple degrees over, and I'm talking Celsius. But anyways, it's still nice. I wanted to talk about, just briefly, about the Matrix. It's not a word I want to use. It's not a word that I think is a good description of what a lot of Christians are saying. And I'm not looking down upon anyone. The analogy just, to me, does not make any sense. Like, I understand it, but it doesn't make sense to apply it to this, I don't think. And I'll tell you why. But before I get to that, and I want to talk about faith. I don't know if you watched my last video. After I passed my MSF course, motorcycle training, I went for a 2-day course. It was like 18 hours, man. And now I'm really paying for it. But anyways, I got my full all my restrictions lifted. Graduated licensing system, and anyway, so I get to keep that for 5 years and then go for a full M. The only difference between that and a full M is just you can't drink alcohol. Who would anyways? But the day after, man, I put up with, I can't even begin to tell you. I felt like death while I was there, running on 6 hours of sleep over 48 hours. And so the next day, because I met the requirements to be able to go get my card right away and upgrade it, I rode 200 kilometers to do that, and I really hurt myself by being on my motorcycle. It's a street bike, so you're like leaning forward like this. Boy, oh boy, man, like my traps are pulled again. Something wrong with my face from that dental procedure, and it's not good. So if you see me looking in pain, that's why I want to talk. So the Matrix. Let's read something first here. I guess I pulled my traps again. I hope that goes away soon. It goes right up the back of your head, and I think it's feeding it's making worse my new facial pain disorder, TMD, temporal mandibular disorder, from keeping my mouth open too long for a dental procedure or something. I don't know. Okay, actually, let's get more context to this. This is Exodus 34:19. Okay, so what are they even talking about at the beginning of this? And the Lord said to Moses, cut 2 tablets of stone, 3, like under the first now, right upon the, okay, so that's around where we are. Let's go to, And this is KJV. I had to look to make sure it does say Matrix, and it does. You might not find that in the other versions. The Feast of Unleavened Bread you shall keep. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, as I commanded thee. This is verse 18, Exodus 34. As I commanded thee in the time of the month Abib. For in the month of Abib thou camest out from Egypt. All that openeth the matrix is mine. And every firstling among thy cattle, whether ox or sheep, that is male. That's very straightforward. It's the womb. There's no more to it. Matrix, from semen entering, right, to the time everything happens, quite a miracle journey of how a baby forms. Just crazy. God calls the womb the matrix. So the question is, and I'm just going to take a little bite here first, why are people saying this? And I do believe I'm the right person to speak on this because, well, I'll tell you why in a second. It's crazy riding your motorcycle down a highway. I don't mean like a highway, everyone, I'm talking like a country highway, a busy one, where a lot of trucks go by you, and if you go by like a tractor trailer on the road, do not stay in the left-hand side. You're supposed to stay in the left-hand side so people don't try to pass you. It's called a blocking position and a tire track position. You're not supposed to go in the middle because it might be slippery. Just I'm going to take a look here. I'm just going to let that go and call them back. But when a truck comes by, when a big truck comes by, make sure to go over to the right side. And I'm glad I knew that already because, you could be driving 80 kilometers an hour or 100 kilometers an hour. And when that truck goes by, especially if it's a double trailer, and I did go across a double trailer, so on my way I was like 100 kilometers out, 100 kilometers back. And it's just when you go by them, the force sucks you in, that air. Just brutal. So hard to deal with, your upper back pulled pain up the back of your neck and your face and everything. It's hard to live sometimes. So what are people talking about when they say, get out of the matrix? And people making Christian YouTube videos, I would say at least a quarter of them, if not more, you see it a lot. If you watch YouTube channels, Christian YouTube channels, a lot of them are saying it. I understand what their point is, but they're making it sound like it's some very complex thing. It isn't. I was born in 1978, so I grew up in the 80s, and basically, and in the early 90s, up to like 1995, 1996, all we had was a telephone. If we didn't want to get people's calls back then, all we did was take the phone off the hook. That was our blocking. And if people wanted to leave a message, they left a message on like this archaic old machine. I don't know when because I was bad in school, or earlier in school, in my high school, and if my teachers would call, we just erase them. But I know you can just erase them now too, but you get my point. There's just a telephone. And when the matrix that people are talking about, and I understand the analogy from the movie The Matrix, okay? Red pill, blue pill. Once you believe in Christ and you become that changed person, you see the world in a different way. I understand. So I understand the analogy, but people are also using that red pill, blue pill to see the evil of the left side, the far left. So what people are talking about, the Matrix, began in around 1996. As I stood out in the smoking section at school, I saw my friend. Well, the first time I saw a mass production cell phone, and I knew right then. I remember, like hearing phones ring in the strange places, like funerals, like out in the forest, and I just remember being like, this is it. This is the end of real privacy. I'd like it because we'd be out in the woods, and you don't want that kind of crap. You don't want to bring a phone at all unless it's for an emergency. That was the beginning of The Matrix. All The Matrix is people being in electronica world, video games, stuck on your computer, whatever. Listen, I know computers really help us. And with my disabilities of pain, could I do without it? Maybe. It'd be pretty tough. But I think they're more talking about like TikTok, WhatsApp, all these different apps, people, globalization. It's no longer just your town and your city. It's not like that. And it's destroying everything. It's social media, right? How do you get out of the Matrix? Turn the damn thing off. Or just read the Bible. Just go on Google or a web browser and do your studying, do your reading, do the things you have to look up. To stay out of the Matrix is to stay away from social media, from propaganda, from all those things. You know it. Because the other things don't have a bad effect on you. Like whatever it is, like me recording this video. This is a wholesome video. Things that teach you things. Buying things. But when you start getting into trash, that is the Matrix. And it comes down to what? To dopamine in your brain. I've explained this before, and I'm also reading this in Addictions, that when you get a like on whatever social media thing it is, whether it be your Facebook, your TikTok, I don't know how it works on TikTok exactly, but when you get a like, or when you see someone shared your thing, there's a measurement, and I don't know the scientific analysis, components, explanation, but they're measured in units. And I don't know, maybe my dopamine right now might be 200. When you sniff a line of cocaine, they measure the average person, it goes up to 400 units, so maybe 200 to 400. Cocaine's pretty addictive, right? The measurement, and I'm sure they've done thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of tests by now, by Facebook and by all those things, that when you get a like, when you get a share, when you get a good comment, it goes up to 400. It's like taking a line of cocaine. So to break out of that matrix, you have to stop social media. That's all there is to it. It's also going around everywhere and using your smartphone, sitting there, like you ever be in front of someone and they're just right in front of you and they're doing this and you're like, man, I'm with you. Like, I will never hesitate to say that to somebody. So really, it's just very simple. Just electronics. It's just social media. I wish there could be a worldwide consensus, or a consensus by country, that there has to be regulations and all that type of stuff. And yeah, I do wish there were regulations. It's just insane. There are countries, there are states that are outlawing certain things like TikTok and all that because they know what's happening. It's so dangerous and people are so blind to it. My health and the things that I started doing more, I wanted to do more and more with the faith in Christ, of course, when I got away from Facebook. I still message the odd person. I will never use any of those other functions, though. Or selling, right? Give me a sec. My neck. Having a hard time right now. I did that to myself, but I'm starting to get worried because that pain has spread all over my face. I can't even go in the ball, like your face here, your cheekbones, your masseter there. Now it's on this side too, so I don't know for sure if it's gone beyond a sprain. Brutal, like headaches, pain behind the eyes and the temples. I already have trigeminal neuralgia, man. Pain all along here. Excuse me. I can't even touch above my ear. It's brutal. But I know I stressed myself out for the last 3 days. The course and then going that far. Stuck in a certain position, and that brings me to faith. I don't know if you watched my last video or not, but I did it after I did the course, and I didn't want to say anything. That's another thing. When you're doing big things in your life, don't tell people about them. You can tell your family and whatever, and if you have goals, so let's take my life. I wanted to go to university. I may have talked about it very briefly, but you understand what I mean, right? If you want to do something, you don't speak about it to people as if you're going to do it or you know what you're doing. Keep it quiet, because a lot of things can happen. People can start to persuade you off of your goals, but you can't do it, right? You might have a little bit of trouble with that. I kind of grew up with that, actually. I grew up in a home where there was a lot of criticism. And so be quiet. Be quiet, do your thing. If you do it, then speak afterwards. I want to recommend a channel to you. I recommended a channel the last time, and I don't want to say what the name is, but I watched one and I kind of wish I hadn't. Although many of the videos were, but that happens, right? You don't know. You watch one video and you watch another and you're like, so. But there is one that I know is fully, you know, it's a beautiful channel. This guy's making really beautiful videos. Just beauty in the spirit and purity. And that's what I really like. The other person that I recommended you, I was just watching a video and then he was using these derogatory terms like things you just shouldn't say. As a preacher too. And that doesn't mean like it's good to, like if you're watching a YouTube video and you see them make a mistake, it's good to write something in. Not to be a Pharisee, but to correct them. So if the person swears, but it was worse than swearing, I said, you know, be careful with your mouth. I didn't say it rudely though. And I said, because you're born again, you know, like try to make it a little better. We all swear probably. In my pain, I forget. I don't with people though. You know, Paul talks about us. We're not supposed to talk like that. And almost immediately I got a message. Someone telling me, you know, that's pharisaical. But all I'm doing is trying to correct, like Timothy says. What is it, 2 Timothy? All scripture is for reproof and correction. And that's another thing about the Matrix. I was training, by the way, I failed my thing. I didn't know that after I got to the very last test, the very last activity was like activity 16, and I had to do a full conversation with all the things I had learned. You had to remember like 90 things. Here I am, a mouth infection, my back is out while I'm studying. I came very close and I recognized my mistakes, but it was accelerated training. I'm in that again, but one of the things that you study is in this training for crisis responders is you got to be careful what you say in your comments and what you talk to people, you know, like in emails and everything. For this particular, it's text. Anyways, so when you text somebody, you have to be careful what you say because people don't recognize you're not speaking face to face, right? You're not speaking face to face. So you read, we've all been through this. You see someone write something and you become offended. But they really didn't mean it because there's no tone in it. And that's what I mean by in my training. That is messing up our world. That's how a lot of arguments happen. That's one reason why I got the heck off of Facebook. There were so many misunderstandings. And I don't know if I'd blame it on my autism or some social anxiety, but I don't think so. I really don't think so. It's well known that you could say one thing one way and it would seem totally bad. You'd say it just a little bit differently and it would have a warm tone to it, right? So yes, the channel that I do want to recommend, and you'll like it too. Guys, pray for me, please. I often ask for you to pray for me because I'm in a lot of pain. I had 4 good teeth taken out. I wouldn't say fully great teeth because they'd been worked on, you know, root canals and all that type of stuff. And I had them out so they would, so my new partial would clip onto them and have a good structure, right? So I had them out, and then all that happened, and so I'm left with 4 less teeth, and it really hurts to wear them right now. Still, please say a prayer for me. What was I going to say? So I'm recommending a channel, and the reason I'm recommending this channel is because it's good. His messages are good. We all have our preferences in watching certain videos. For me, now, in the where I am in my journey right now, staying away from debates, pointless debates. It doesn't mean I won't be in one again, but it would be out of a pure heart. I only want to hear messages of faith and purity, because I understand in my journey I went through all those things. So where I am right now, I realize I just want to love no matter what. You know, it's very hard to feel those feelings of love when your nerves are on fire and your muscles are aching, your bones are crunching, and your nerves are stinging. It's really, really hard, especially when it's in your face. It's a church life. I'll put it in the description box. You can watch this. You can watch this guy. But I was having a discussion last night with God, and everything that I've been through, good and bad, I look where I was. And I look where I am now. And it has nothing to do with money, clothes, motorcycles, none of that. But I can't help but know that it was Him inside of me that helped me get through those things. Because I would have tried those on my own without God, it probably would have failed. You know, I work through panic attacks. Guys, I get panic attacks. I get them on here. I just remember I was riding on my bike yesterday. I'm on the highway, you know, and I just like, I can't believe I'm here doing this. And I recognized that it was Him. I don't want to keep using those things like He did this for me, but He did. But how else would I recognize how much He's helped me? So I'm going to take a little break, and I'm going to continue on this topic. It's so hard to be in the shot right now. This is what I realize. I don't want to be in all those debates. I just want to know the love of God. You know, there are some people who know a lot about the Bible and know the backdrops of every single little thing, know all the church history. I tried studying all those things. I understand that I can't remember all that stuff. You don't have to know all these things. It's good to know the Bible, though. But the best thing of all is to recognize the love that God has for us. And where people go wrong in their journey with God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, is that they start looking at God in a way that they start looking at the things that seem to be wrong in the world, that seem to be his fault. Why is it this way? Why is it that way? Why did this happen in my family? Why did this happen to my body? And they nitpick and they do all these things. And by doing that, they completely miss. You just have to read the Bible. You just have to read the Old Testament. Just read the prophets. Read all the prophets in the Old Testament. God loves us so much. He's also a God of wrath, though, to those who are evil. You'll understand you're at the very the very point where you should be in your journey, that you'll recognize for the rest of your life, I know how much. And it's hard to keep your mind focused just on this. God is very holy. He's pure, right? He's completely unblemished. He cannot be blemished. He doesn't want to look at anything dirty. People may say I'm strict, but I understand how purity makes a person well within. You know, as what Jesus said to the Pharisees, you make sure you wash inside the cup before the outside of the cup. People may look good on the outside, but how are they on the inside? Are they rotten? If you're at a point where you say to yourself, I don't know how to get there. I find one fault that people fail to explain when they say, why did God do this? Why does God allow pain and all that type of stuff? It's a major roadblock to knowing God's love. To know God's love, you have to read the Old Testament. You have to. For proof. If you want to see proof in words, remember these words are living. If you want to see real proof, you have to read the Old Testament to see the love that he had for his people and how much long suffering he had. He waited like 1,000 years, like longer than that if you include everything from the very beginning of Genesis and how evil people were. So the mistake I find is that they don't revert back to the reason we feel pain is because of Adam and Eve, because of the devil in the garden. That's it. That's all you have to explain, because once you understand that, that's where all this pain and death came from. He had a rescue plan, though, immediately for us. But it's taking some time, though. And it will be realized when they say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Or, the rapture, whatever happens with that. I won't debate that either. I'm just waiting. And that brings me to the last part then. Quite uncomfortable here, so... yeah, I really wanted to say this too. I didn't expect it would come up in my mind, though. You know the saying, when they say peace and safety, sudden destruction will come on them like labor pains, like a woman in labor pains. I don't know exactly when that's going to be. I have no idea if that's going to be something to do with the Israeli war with all these different countries. Look at where we are now. This is very interesting. There's a much larger war happening, and it's been going on for twice as long, if not for three and some years or something like that. The Ukraine war. There's more than 1 million people dead there. And you say, well, there's been wars with more. This is different. There's just something different about it. It's literally the East versus the West. There's, you know, you hear like, oh, there's French troops in there, and there's French troops who have died in Ukraine. This is a red line and stuff. Look at what Russia is doing. Tens of thousands of soldiers from the Republic of North Korea. Wow, this is how World War III begins. This is how World War II began. This type of thing. That's a very far line. It really is. So, what am I getting to? Peace and safety. So we could look at two different wars to say that. It could be either one where they're going to say that. Can you imagine this? This is all I'm asking you. If that's what we're waiting for, when we are. I'm having a hard time thinking because of my pain. The election is, let's just say, 2 weeks away. Wow. This is the most important election in all of human history. That's what I believe. It's the most important in all of human history. You know what will happen if she gets in? Pure communism. Everything that almost happened, that could have gone wrong, like the economy going down and all that type of stuff, if she gets in, it will happen this time. Because people are so far beaten down already. Trump said that if I get into office, which there's no reason he won't win, he says, I will make one phone call. Keep this in mind with peace and safety. This is what we keep hearing. I'll make one phone call to Putin and the war will be over. Do I believe that? I do. I do. Because I know what he said to him about invading Ukraine before. He said, I'll bomb Moscow. That's what he said. Trump said that to Putin. So, if he makes that phone call, and all of a sudden we hear peace and safety, there it could be. That's all I wanted to say. Who knows? We don't know what Paul saw and was told by Jesus Christ. It would have been nice to have a little bit more information, but that's pretty good, right? So we're just looking for that. Anyways, I covered a lot of different things, and I super stressed my body out. But I have freedom in movement as far as traveling. So things in my life I could not do without having faith in God, and that's what God looks for. And just this last thing. What I'm talking about isn't just the good things. And by the way, when I do these things, I go through a lot of hell to do them. Like, especially when they're physical things, like I just did. But what if it's bad? What if it's pain in my face and my back to the point where I don't even want to be here. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. But rather, like it's so bad to a point where you say, just please, Lord, take me one day, let me have a heart attack, or take me in my sleep, that type of thing. Even with those types of feelings, if you can learn to be thankful in those times of hardship, God will be with you. So, and just the way that, the reason I say you try your best to get to a point of purity. Stop listening to all these, I don't mean, you don't stop listening to debates, that's fine, but engaging in them, engaging in things that don't even matter. That's why Paul preached everything about Christ, not about all the other trash. Try to find purity. That's what this is all about. And then we will see him as he is. Right? Corinthians 13. Is it 2 Corinthians 13? Read that chapter, the love chapter. Thanks for watching, guys. Please say a prayer for me, and I'll say a prayer right now for you guys.